Welcome back to the Armory. I'm your host, and I'm honestly glad you're here with me in the virtual forge today. We've got a wide mix of folks watching. Some of you are picking up your very first firearm. Others have been breathing burnt powder for decades. Maybe you're kicked back in the recliner on the big screen. Maybe you're sneaking a watch while you're out in the shop. Either way, I appreciate you spending time with me. Today we're taking a break from the polymer, striker-fired universe, and we're going back to steel, wood, and mechanical soul. We're talking about an American icon, a rifle that refused to fade away, and somehow found a brand new gear in the modern era. There's a rhythm to a lever gun, a feel, a cadence. It's a tactile conversation between you and the machine. And you just don't get that same handshake with a semi-auto. For more than a century and a half, these rifles did real work. They helped tame frontiers, they put meat on the table, and they guarded homesteads when help was a long ride away. But now we're in 2026, and the lever action market is hotter than it's been since the late 1800s. So this isn't only nostalgia anymore. This is practical defense, hunting efficiency, and downright beautiful craftsmanship. I've watched legends fall, come back, and reclaim their name. I've also seen new players show up and swing for the crown. So here's the question. What are the best lever action rifles you can actually buy right now? And who nailed the balance between old school heritage and modern needs to take the top spot this year? Before we start running the action on this countdown, if you're into deep firearm history and honest, no-nonsense analysis made for mature shooters, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. It keeps the forge lit, and it helps me keep bringing you the content you came here for. All right, settle in. We're counting down the 10 best lever action rifles of 2026, and we're going to find out who earns the new number one. Coming in at number 10, we've got the entry point into the modern tactical lever gun world, the Citadel Levtac 92. This rifle belongs on the list because it represents something big. It's the regular guy access to a trend that used to live only in pricey custom shops. Historically, the Model 92 Action was a John Browning design for Winchester. It earned a reputation for being compact and extremely strong, and it was built specifically around pistol caliber cartridges. Citadel took that proven, century-old Rossi manufactured action and dragged it into the 21st century by dressing it in modern furniture. The Levtac 92 is easy to spot. Synthetic black stock in the rear, and up front, an aluminum M-lock handguard. This is not the rifle for the pure traditionalist who demands top-grade walnut. This is for the shooter who wants to mount a modern weapon light, maybe a foregrip, and a red dot up top on the Picatinny rail, without drilling into some vintage collectible. It's chambered in popular rounds like .357 Magnum, .44 Magnum, and that soft-shooting .45 Colt. The large loop lever comes standard. That makes it easier to run, even with thick winter gloves, or if your hands don't have the same dexterity they used to. Now, the fit and finish isn't on the same level as the top-tier rifles on this list, and the action can feel a little gritty right out of the box. But the important part is this: it runs reliably. The real reason the Citadel TAC 92 opens our list is value and accessibility. It lets a new shooter, or someone curious about the tactical cowboy idea, jump in without spending a mortgage payment. The pros are straightforward. It hits a strong price point. It's optics and light ready from the factory, and it's built around a time-tested action design. The cons: the synthetic materials can feel a little budget. Most of them need a few hundred rounds before they slick up, and the purists are going to hate the look. As for price, MSRP sits around $800, but in the real world in 2026, you can often see them on shelves around $700 to $750. That's a tempting entry point. Moving to number 9, we've got a rifle that's big in size and big in reputation, the Bighorn Armory Model 89. If the last one was a budget commuter car, this is a hand-built luxury tank that's designed to flatten whatever's in front of it. Bighorn Armory out of Wyoming isn't worried about mass production, and they're definitely not chasing budget pricing. Their entire mission is building heavy-hitting lever guns, and they do it using a scaled-up approach based on the Winchester Model 1886 and 1892 action lineage. The history here is simple. Take some of the strongest lever actions ever created and engineer them to run modern, massive cartridges that never existed in the cowboy era. The Model 89 is primarily chambered in 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum, and when you pick it up, it feels like you're holding a piece of artillery. Construction is all highly polished, 174 stainless steel that looks like liquid mercury, and it's paired with absolutely gorgeous figured walnut stocks, the kind you really have to see in person to fully appreciate. Every part is machined from solid billet stock. No castings, no cheap injection molded parts anywhere on this rifle. The action is smooth like glass on ice, and it locks up like a bank vault because it has to contain the serious pressure of 500 Magnum. This is built for the shooter who wants the peak of power in a lever gun format, capable of stopping any land animal on Earth inside of 150 yards. It earns its place because it's arguably the finest semi-custom lever action you can buy today. It represents the high watermark of American craftsmanship in this specific niche. The pros: unmatched power, build quality that's in a different class. Every rifle is essentially unique, and the looks are collector grade, the kind of gun you buy as an investment piece. The cons are just as real. Recoil is punishing if you're inexperienced. It's heavy on a long hunt, and the price is brutal for the average shooter. MSRP starts around $4,500, and once you add options, real-world pricing can push well over $5,000. Plus, you're looking at a substantial wait time to get one built. Number 8 is the oddball in the best way, a mix of classic style with a very different mechanical heart, the Browning BLR Lightweight. Most lever guns on this list are built around ideas from the late 1800s, but the BLR is a more modern invention. It doesn't use the sliding bolt and elevator system you're used to in a Winchester or a Marlin. Instead, it runs a rack and pinion gear system, very similar to the steering mechanism in a car. That gives the BLR a uniquely smooth, consistent lever throw. You don't get that little hitch at the end of the cycle that older designs can have. Because of this action, and because it uses a rotating multi-lug bolt head that locks directly into the barrel, the BLR is extremely strong, and it can handle high-pressure modern pointed bullet cartridges. With tubular magazines, you're usually stuck with flat-nosed bullets. That's to reduce the risk of chain-fire detonations. But the BLR uses a detachable box magazine, so you can run lever-action rifles chambered in .306 Springfield, .308 Winchester, or even fast-stepping magnums like the 7mm Remington Magnum. The lightweight version uses an aircraft-grade aluminum receiver to cut weight, so it's a joy to carry up a mountain. And it's paired with a well-finished walnut stock, plus that deep glossy blue on the barrel. This is a serious hunting tool. You get lever gun speed with ballistic performance that's closer to a modern bolt action. The BLR makes the list because it fixes the traditional lever gun's biggest ballistic limitations. It's for the hunter who loves the lever platform, but needs to reach reliably past 300 yards. The pros: modern pointed long-range calibers, a detachable box magazine that makes loading and unloading easy, and that smooth gear-driven action. The cons: the trigger is known for being heavy, and it's hard for gunsmiths to improve because of the complex mechanism. Also, that glossy finish is beautiful, but it can reflect light in the woods, and it shows scratches easily. MSRP is around $1,200, and in gun shops in 2026, you'll typically see them somewhere between $1,050 and $1,150. Sliding in at number 7, the Rossi R95. For a long time, if you wanted a brand new rifle in that classic Marlin 336 pattern, you were out of luck. Marlin simply wasn't producing them. Rossi, a Brazilian manufacturer known for decades of affordable alternatives to American classics, stepped into that empty space with the R95. And this isn't just a clone, it's a genuinely capable version of the side-ejecting, solid-top receiver design that hunters have trusted for generations. Rossi's history includes Winchester 92 copies, but the R95 proved they could pull off the more complicated Marlin architecture. The R95 is Rossi's swing at a working man's deer rifle, without forcing you to hunt down an overpriced vintage pawn shop special. Most commonly, you'll see it in 30-30 Winchester and the hard-hitting 45-70 Government. It uses a hammer-forged barrel, and it comes with a surprisingly decent hardwood stock. What shocked a lot of analysts when it launched was the action quality. It's smoother than many of the Remlin-era Marlins from the 2010s, right out of the box. The bluing is serviceable, not deep, exhibition grade, but tough enough for real field use. It comes with usable buckhorn sights, and because it's a solid top receiver design, it's easy to tap for a scope. That's a big deal for older shooters whose eyes aren't what they used to be. We include the Rossi CR95 because it proves something important. A budget-friendly lever action doesn't have to feel cheap. It's a reliable, accessible option for hunters and ranchers who need a tool, not a showpiece. The pros: excellent price to performance, compatibility with common Marlin 336 aftermarket parts, like scope bases, and a surprisingly good action cycle. The cons: wood-to-metal fit can be imperfect sometimes with small gaps showing, and the hardwood stock just doesn't have that rich American walnut grain you'll see on higher-end rifles. MSRP sits around $750, and in the real world, they're easy to find for about $650 to $700. That's a bargain in today's market. At number 6, we've got the rifle that finally brought a stubborn traditionalist brand into the modern world, the Henry Sidegate lever action. For more than 2 decades, Henry Repeating Arms built an empire on one line: made in America or not made at all. And for all that time, they stuck hard to the original tubular magazine loading design. You had to pull the inner brass tube near the muzzle and drop cartridges in from the front. It's nostalgic, it's charming, but tactically, it's slow. And in the field, it's inconvenient. The story here is a company finally listening to its customers. After years of people asking, Henry introduced a receiver side loading gate like Winchester and Marlin, while still keeping the front loading tube. So shooters got the best of both worlds. The Henry Sidegate models are straight-up industrial art. You'll see polished, hardened brass receivers that shine like gold, or deeply blued steel if you want a quieter look. And the American walnut stocks are consistently well-figured. That's been a Henry calling card for years. Henry actions are famous for being smooth. And yeah, buttered smooth gets thrown around too much in this industry. But with Henry, it actually fits. They're chambered in classic hunting cartridges like 30-30, 35 Remington, and the straight wall big bores. That side gate lets you top off the magazine quickly during a hunt without breaking your firing position. That's a modern necessity. This rifle lands at number 6 because it's the clean fusion of Henry build quality with the practical function shooters kept demanding. It's pretty enough to sit over the mantle, but tough enough to ride into the deer stand every season. The pros: dual loading options, that famously smooth Henry action, and outstanding looks with beautiful wood and metal finishes. The main con is weight, especially on the brass receiver versions. Those are heavy rifles to carry all day. And some traditionalists feel the side gate messes with the clean receiver lines. MSRP depends on caliber and finish, but generally it sits around $1,200. In 2026, expect real-world pricing between $1,000 and $1,100. Cracking the top 5? We're back to the undisputed king of the classic lever gun, the Winchester Model 1894. You can't seriously talk best lever actions without tipping your hat to the 94. Over 7.12 million have been produced since it launched. That makes it the most popular high-powered sporting rifle in history. John Browning designed it, and it became the first sporting rifle built to handle the then-new smokeless powder cartridges, like the 30-30 Winchester. This is the rifle that's often credited with closing the American frontier and feeding more families than maybe any other firearm. Today, the Winchester 94 is made in Japan by Morocco for Winchester Repeating Arms. Now, before anyone groans about it not coming out of New Haven, Connecticut, let's be real honest. The Japanese-made Winchesters are excellent. Machining tolerances, depth of bluing, steel quality. In a lot of ways, they're arguably better than plenty of the post-1964 American production rifles. The current 94s are slim, lightweight, and they balance perfectly right at the receiver. They're fast to shoulder, fast to point. They still use the top eject design, so brass goes straight up. That makes conventional scope mounting tough unless you use an offset mount. But let's be honest about what a 94 wants to be: iron sights, or maybe a small peep sight. The Winchester 94 holds number 5 because it's the archetype. It's still the measuring stick for handling. This one's for the purist, the historian, and the hunter who wants a light, fast-handling carbine in thick brush. The pros: unmatched historical pedigree, a slim, lightweight profile that's a joy to carry, and the outstanding build quality from current Moroku production. The cons: top ejection complicates optics, and the action design favors flat-nosed bullets, so range is limited compared to modern bolt guns. MSRP for a standard carbine is about $1,300, and real-world pricing usually lands between $1,150 and $1,250. Number 4 is the comeback story everybody hoped for, the Marlin 336 Classic. A few years back, Marlin was basically dead, bankruptcy, and quality control issues under the previous ownership. When Ruger bought the assets, the whole firearms world held its breath. Would they do it right? Thankfully, yes. Absolutely yes. The Marlin 336 has always been the quintessential American deer rifle. It was the side-ejecting rival to the Winchester 94, and people loved it for that strong, solid-top receiver that made scope mounting easy. Ruger didn't just restart old machines. They rebuilt the process using modern CNC manufacturing, while sticking to the original design specs that made the 336 what it is. The new Ruger-made Marlin 336 Classic and 3030 Winchester, in the opinion of many experts, is better built than the originals. Stock fit to metal is tight and precise. American black walnut done right. Satin blue finish that's rich and even. And the action cycle feels smoother and tighter than the rifles from the final years of the previous ownership. They kept the details that matter, like the gold-plated trigger and the distinctive bullseye inlay in the stock. So the heritage stays intact, but the execution is improved. It takes number 4 because it proves a classic design, built with modern precision, is still completely relevant. This is the choice for the traditional deer hunter who wants a new rifle that feels like an old friend. The pros: a huge quality control leap under Ruger, a solid top receiver that's perfect for scopes, and that classic traditional look done the right way. The big con is availability. Demand still beats supply in 2026, so they can be hard to find on racks. And the price has climbed a lot compared to the old budget deer rifle days. MSRP is now around $1,250, and because demand stays high, you usually won't find one for much less than that, sometimes even a little more. Now we're in the top 3. These are the rifles shaping the lever-action world right now. At number 3, the versatile powerhouse that shook up the market, the Henry Big Boy X model. When this rifle dropped, it signaled a major change in Henry's mindset. They stopped only looking backward at history and started looking sideways at what modern shooters were actually doing. The tactical lever gun trend was growing in garages and small custom shops, and Henry was the first major manufacturer to offer a factory solution that was high quality and widely available. The X model is built on the proven big boy action, but it's fully blacked out. It comes with a durable synthetic stock and forend instead of wood, so it shrugs off weather and hard use. And here's the big modern feature: a factory threaded barrel, so it's ready for a suppressor immediately. That's a major draw for shooters who care about hearing protection and responsible shooting. It has high visibility fiber optic sights, and it's drilled and tapped for optics rails. Like other modern Henry rifles, it gives you both loading options: a side loading gate and the removable tube magazine. Maximum flexibility. It's available in magnum pistol calibers like 44 Magnum, 357 Magnum, and also 45 Colt. This is a short to medium range hammer. The Henry X model is number 3 because it's the most versatile utility lever action on this list. Home defense, hog hunting, truck gun, range fun, all in one reliable package. The pros: factory threaded barrel for suppressors, all-weather durability, and the dual loading system. The cons: that synthetic stock works, but it doesn't have the soul of wood, and the fiber optic sights are bright, but not as precise as fine target sights. MSRP is a very competitive $1,000, and in 2026, you can usually find them around $900 to $950. That's excellent value for what you're getting. Just missing the top spot at number 2, the Winchester Model 1886. If the 94 is the deer rifle, the 86 is the Buffalo Stopper, another John Browning masterpiece, built to handle massive black powder cartridges from the late 1800s, especially the 4570 Government. It's bigger than the 94, heavier, stronger. The history here is heavy metal thunder. This is the rifle that helped take on the biggest game on the continent before bolt actions really took over. Like the modern 94s, today's Model 1886 is built in Japan by Morocco for Winchester, and the quality is jaw-dropping. These are investment-grade firearms that you can still take into the woods. Some models have vibrant case hardening on the receiver, bluing so deep it looks like you could swim in it, and walnut that often grades higher than standard production rifles. Most are chambered in 4570. These actions run incredibly smooth. Twin vertical locking bolts slide up to lock the breech. When you cycle an 86, it feels like heavy equipment running on greased ball bearings. This rifle has presence. It exudes authority. We put it at number 2 because it's the ultimate expression of the classic large-bore lever action. It's for the collector and for the hunter chasing elk, moose, or bear, who wants to do it with historical style. The pros: immense action strength, stunning build quality and aesthetics, and the ability to run serious big-bore cartridges. The cons are real. It's a heavy, long rifle that can be a burden in tight timber. The top eject design limits optic options, and it's expensive. MSRP starts around $1,800 for basic models and climbs fast on the higher-grade versions. Real-world pricing is generally right at or near MSRP because production runs are limited. All right, here we are. The moment of truth. The rifle sitting on top of the lever gun world in 2026. The number 1 lever action rifle is the Marlin 1895 Dark Series. This rifle is what finally completed the modern lever gun renaissance. When Ruger took over Marlin, everybody wanted the classic 336 back. But the market was also screaming for a modern, tactical big bore. The 1895 Dark Series answered that scream. It's built on the robust, proven Marlin 1895 big bore action, made to handle heavy 4570 government loads. But everything else has been updated for the 21st century shooter, and it's not just black paint. The metal wears a graphite black Cerakote finish, built for serious corrosion resistance in brutal environments. The stock is reinforced nylon polymer, and the handguard has M-lock attachment slots integrated directly into it. So mounting lights and lasers is easy without bulky add-ons. It comes with a factory-installed radial muzzle brake to help tame 4570 recoil, and the barrel is threaded in case you want to run a suppressor. Up top, you get a long Picatinny rail, ready for low-power variable optics or red dots, and it includes excellent ghost ring iron sights as backup. The action is Ruger smooth, and the trigger is crisp. The Marlin 1895 Dark Series is our new number 1 because it's the most complete battlefield-ready package right out of the box. It blends the bone-crushing power of the 4570 cartridge with modern ergonomics, adaptability, and Ruger's reputation for reliability. It's the ultimate hog gun, a bear defense rifle, and yes, a formidable close-quarters defensive option. The pros: that bomb-proof Cerakote finish, integrated M-lock handguard, threaded barrel with a brake included, and an optics-ready rail. The only real con is recoil with hot 4570 loads, even though the brake helps. And of course, some traditionalists won't love the modern look. MSRP is set at $1,400. In the real world, expect to pay close to that, maybe around $1,350, because these rifles disappear the moment they hit the shelf. From budget-friendly entries to high-end historical masterpieces, to modern tactical heavyweights. The lever-action rifle isn't just surviving in 2026, it's thriving. And that's proof of something I love about this world. Mechanisms born in the horse and buggy era are still relevant, effective, and loved in the age of electric trucks and Mars missions. Whether you go for the classic lines of a Winchester, the buttery, smooth feel of a Henry, or the rugged modernization of the new Marlins, you're buying into a legacy, self-reliance, mechanical excellence. I hope this list helps you sort through a crowded market and find the steel and wood companion that belongs in your safe. Before you click out, I've got one last question for you. We talked a lot about modernizing these rifles with red dots and suppressors. Where do you stand on that? Is a red dot on a lever gun blasphemy? Or is it just smart evolution? Drop your take in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button, share this with your shooting buddies, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the Armory so you never miss a briefing. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and I'll see you.